again, that game, you beat them 40-22. A lot of people made a lot of money in that game. Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, Zack Baun.
Yeah.
Those are Mekhi Becton, right? Made money throughout the season. Those are your
Yeah, he
4
did.
key free agents that the Philadelphia Eagles have to think about whether they're going to bring them back or lose them, right? To a higher, lose them to the highest bidder. So let's tap into the free agency conversation, right? Howie Roseman has a ton of decisions to make. He has a ton of things to knock off the checklist here. He has to figure out if he's going to be able to bring back any of those guys. Let me walk you down my checklist or my priority list,
Okay.
right? I believe priority number 1, you got to re-sign Zack Baun. Priority number 2, re-sign Mekhi Becton. And anything after that is a plus. So do you agree with that? Do you feel differently about how Howie Roseman should approach his offseason? Just give me your thoughts on their free agent situation and where you think they should go with it.
I agree with you. I agree Zack Baun's number 1 priority. Over anything else, he's number 1 priority. Because if you put Zack Baun, if you sign Zack Baun, as soon as you sign him, your championship starting defense is back. It's back. It's intact. If you don't sign him, then you got a hole. The defense is good pretty much everywhere else, but you got a hole at linebacker. Nakobe Dean's coming back when? Oren Burke's probably not going to be back. So what are we going to look at? Brand new linebackers? You got to sign Zack Baun. When a guy's a defensive player of the year like that, you've got to sign him. So to me, that's my priority number 1. My priority number 2, I go back and forth. I would love to see Becton back. I would. But I think that Stoutland, I trust whatever he decides to do. I know it's going to be okay. And I really wonder, because they got that Trevor Keegan kid that I think they like a lot. And I think they like Steen. Hopefully Becton will come back. So I would like that, And then as far as after, Baun and Becton, I actually think I'm all for going after Myles Garrett. I am, because here's why. And I guess it depends on a few things. I'm all for it as long as I don't have to give up a player for him. I'm not willing to do that. I'm not giving up Nolan Smith. I'm not giving up Cooper DeJean. I'm not giving up the young guys, because I already have guys I know can win without him. I don't need Myles Garrett to win. I don't. However, if I want to take my level of my defense to another level, you want to talk about that 91 defense and maybe getting close to it, you add a Myles Garrett to what you already have. Now you've got something maybe on another level, but you can't do it at the expense of what you already have. You've already won. So I don't mind going after him. I would give up picks to go out and get him. I also think that when you win, you have to watch out for guys that become complacent. I think it's natural. I think when you win, it's natural to become complacent, ride the offseason. Bill Belichick used to talk about trying to have up to 30% turnover because he wanted guys that were hungry. What I like about Myles Garrett is he's desperate to win. So he's coming in with the mentality of like Saquon Barkley had last year on the defensive side of the ball. So I think having guys that are hungry like that is contagious. And if you can do it, do it. But I'm not trading players for them. Like, I've seen some ridiculous things out there.
Yeah, I've seen people try to throw Nolan Smith into the conversation. I'm like, are you high?
Yeah.
Like no. But that begs the question, right? Because I do agree with you. There's a certain element to being hungry, right? And Saquon Barkley brought a level of hunger that maybe the Eagles probably thought they had, but he was starving.
Yeah.
So are we talking like what? 3 first-round picks, 2 first. I mean, how old is Myles Garrett? Because that's going to influence as well.
He's almost 30. That's the other reason. He's almost 30.
Yeah, he's
So,
29. So what is that?
you
Two
know,
first
if he was
rounders?
26, 27, then maybe I could see giving up 3 first rounders.
But here's
I
the thing,
don't think it's
Philly.
going to cost that much. I
How
don't.
valuable are the Eagles' first round picks if they're going to regularly be picking 30, 31, 32?
They're going to be their second round picks, their early second round picks. Yeah, that's why I would do it. See, my thing is this, because did you hear the stuff that they want, that one of the guys the Browns want is Devontae Smith? Like
Okay,
Devontae Smith is one of the guys.
they're
Are you
smoking.
crazy?
They're smoking
Yeah,
the,
you
the, the
crazy?
hardest crack from the 80s.
Yeah, I don't even want to give up. Like, I don't even want to give up Jordan Davis. Like, I think that we've got to negotiate from the standpoint of being champions, not from the standpoint of, okay, we're almost there. It's not like we lost a
Right.
championship game and need to get there, right? We didn't just lose and like we need Miles to get us over the hump.
He's a luxury. He's a
No, we've
luxury
already
signing.
won. Yeah, I get Miles Garrett because one, if you add him to a championship defense already, you're going to be that much better. It's the same philosophy as what would this offense look like if you put Saquon Barkley or a talent like that with behind this offensive line. So what does Miles Garrett look like if added to a championship defense? Now I think you're getting into historical defenses. Now there's a conversation to be made about the 91 defense and this one. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I think he takes you to that level. But you can't give yourself a glaring hole somewhere else. I mean, I've even heard Cooper DeJean's name mentioned. There is no way. No. Nolan Smith,
People just
Cooper. Like,
talking,
no, I
man.
ain't doing it, man. So I think, if you want to go up and say, listen, if I'll tell Cleveland this, listen, I'll give you a first round pick this year, first round pick next year, and I'll even throw in another early pick so you could take one of those picks and go get a player somewhere else on another roster. But you ain't taking my guys. I don't need you. I don't need them to win. I could go get somebody else. I don't need them to win. That's how I feel.
Right. That's right. And that's the angle, right? You don't want to approach this like you're a team that's just one player away. You've won it already. You've proved that you can do this. It's a luxury. So therefore, it's not like Cleveland can really strong arm you, or you can be backed into a corner. And honestly, Cleveland doesn't have as much leverage as they think they have, because Miles has made it very clear he wants out. So now the world knows he's gone, or he wants out. Right. The world knows that you got to move him, because he's not going to lace up for you. He's not going to lace it up for you. He's not going to hit. He's not going to play for you. So you got to trade him, and you got to trade him fast before the draft. So now the timeline shrinks, and you want to get as much as you can that can help rebuild your team, at least in this draft class as well, because Deshaun Watson's not going to get it done for you, right? So now the clock kind of speeds up for Cleveland. I like the way you're thinking with that. Speaking of the draft, and the combine is pretty much underway. The combine, I think, just ended, right? So give me, are there any prospects? How about this? Let's approach it from this angle. Give me what you believe are the top needs for the Philadelphia Eagles going into this draft class, and what are, or who are the players that you would love for the Philadelphia Eagles to go target, or who are you fascinated by? Who piques your interest right now?
Right now, to me, I'm still more in not so much which guy as in what position.
Okay.
Like I'm still thinking in terms of, all right, what position do I need? And some things like that. Now there are a couple guys. That kid Pearson Jr. from where is he from? Yeah, I forget. But Tennessee. That kid looks good. The Eagles talked a couple safeties. I thought that was kind of interesting. But I think a pass
James Pierce Jr.
Pierce Jr. I liked him. I thought he stood out. I think an edge rusher like that is what you need, which is why I wouldn't mind going out and getting Myles Garrett. But if I don't get him, I wouldn't mind a guy like that. I also think we got to think about, obviously tight end. And you got to think about the cornerback position, because if Slay goes, do they kick Cooper DeJean outside? That's the question. Are they going to kick him outside? If you kick him outside, now you need a slot corner.
Mhm.
They talked to that kid Malachi Starks. Some guys, some safeties from Alabama, kid from Georgia. You got the kid from South Carolina. So would they get a safety, a guy who could be a safety / slot corner kind of guy, and use him to put in the slot and then kick DeJean on the outside? I don't know what their plan is, but if Slay goes, what are you going to do at cornerback? Are you going to go at Ringo? Isaiah Rodgers a free agent,
You're right.
So to me, when you're picking 32, it's so hard because we're talking about guys that could very well go 20, 15, 16, 17. I don't know where they're going to fall, so it's really hard to know. But I think in terms of if I'm the Eagles, the way I kind of see it is I won't mind trading these picks. And the reason I say is you've done so well the last 3-4 years with your draft picks that we've got all these contracts coming up, right? You got to get a lot of guys under contract extension wise, all at the same time. Nakobe Dean, you're still going to have to get Cam Jurgens done. What are you going to do when Jordan Davis? What are you going to do with Nolan Smith? Like Jalen Carter, like all these guys' contracts, because they've picked so well, are all coming like in this, like in groups, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they got to get those guys. So if you want to take a chance and take a couple extra draft picks and go for Myles Garrett, I have no problem with it. I think you've drafted well enough where you can do that. If you want to draft, to me, it's more about position. I think I would say edge rusher. I think you need another edge rusher. But you got to take the best player available, wherever that is. A tight end, I'll be honest. I watched the tight ends. There's a couple guys, but there was nobody that stood out to me that go, oh yeah, we need that guy, So I just think it depends on who's there and what your need is. It would not surprise me that the Eagles take a safety in the first round, even though they usually never do, because it's the best player on the board.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think the Eagles will stay at 32. I'll tell you that. They're either trade up or they'll trade down. I'll be shocked if they're at 32 when we pick. Running back also,
Ooh, okay.
is another position I think we need to add. You can't keep Barkley getting 30 carries a game. We're gonna have to back off that, I think, a little bit. I think why not get another running back, have a little 3-headed monster thing going there. I think that would be fine. I mean, there's so many ways they can go, but to me, if we go by needs, I think you need another edge rusher. You're going to need another edge rusher.
Yeah, to your point about the running back angle, I think this is a big opportunity for Will Shipley.
Right.
He's really good, and he's not only good as a runner in between the tackles, but he's patient and he can also catch the ball from the backfield, right? So we'll see what they do with that. But yeah, I got two more questions for you. Get to the super chats, and I'm gonna get you out of here, my friend. Thanks again for providing so much time
Oh,
that
thank you
you
for having me on,
provided,
man.
my
I
man.
appreciate it.
No, I
Yeah, of
appreciate
course.
you, man, even more. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. We have Philly.500, man, the Don Dada, one of the best, if not the best, to ever do it. Let's continue to keep this ball rolling. Then we're going to close this show out. So, again, we talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, trying to maintain their dominance in the NFL through the free agents, through trying to bring back key free agents and the draft, and also making sure the right guys are signed. There were a couple teams who made some moves to try to keep themselves in the conversation. There's a rumor that the Packers are trying to make a play for DK Metcalf. The rumor is that they have a contract, or they have a kind of a situation kind of laid out. They just need Seattle to pull the trigger. The Rams and Matthew Stafford agreed to a restructure, so he's not going to go to the Raiders or anywhere else. He's going to stay there. That's a team that challenged us. And the Commanders, they traded for Deebo Samuel. It's fascinating that the three key moves that we've seen so far throughout the offseason have come from teams that we've faced in this playoff run. They see what we've done. They see what the Eagles have accomplished, and they understand that they are on the clock, and they know that we're going to continue to move the ball forward. But the Deebo Samuel angle of this thing,
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on Debo being traded to the Commanders? How much of a needle mover is that in your opinion? And what's your take on the value that the 49ers got back for him?
Well, they got, I think it was a 5th-round pick, right? So
Correct.
I thought that was cheap. I mean, I don't think the 49ers got much value other than they got rid of his contract. I think Washington's taking on his full contract.
Yeah.
I don't think I think it moves the needle a little bit. But clearly what we're seeing is the start of an arms race, I believe. Because I believe Washington, and I believe that there's going to be other teams they're all gunning for the Eagles, right? The Eagles are the champs. When you listen to these other teams speak, dude, I think they're all scared to death of Howie Roseman. I think they're all scared. And I think Washington is going to be very, very aggressive. I think, to me, more than anything, that move says, yo, Philly, we're coming. This is the start of it. They're just getting ready. They're going to load up. I think they're going to try to get Myles Garrett, which is another reason why, if you could get Myles Garrett and block him from going to Washington, it's kind of a double whammy. But I think that Deebo Samuel, in terms of how good it makes Washington, I think it helps a little bit. I don't look at Deebo Samuel and say, well, there's a good, great outside wide receiver. Like, I think the only way you really utilize him to his fullest is you got to move him all around. He's got to play outside, got to be in the slot, got to play running back. And if you're not using him like that, he doesn't worry me all that much, to be honest with you. So I think the Eagles can handle that. I think more than anything, with the Packers going out and getting DK Metcalf, well, it looks like they're going to end up getting him. But to me, it just signals more than anything that Washington is gunning for us, and they're going to be loading up on players. So the question is does Howie match that intensity? I will say this. If you look at Howie's track record, the years that he's aggressive in free agency are the years that we go to the Super Bowl. Well, every time we've gone to the Super Bowl, Howie's had an aggressive all season. I don't think it needs to be as aggressive or in the same way this year,
Right.
but he's still got to be aggressive. I think, if you can find a way to add Myles Garrett to this team, do it. I think you should do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. All right. Final question before we get to these super chats. Kevin Patullo, former pass game coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, gets promoted to offensive coordinator after Kellen Moore departs for the New Orleans Saints head coaching job. What was your perspective? What was your thoughts on Kevin Patullo getting a job? Were you pleased? Were you indifferent? Are you more in the wait and see mode? Did you not like the move? Just give me your overall response to when the Kevin Patullo news came across the wire for the Philadelphia Eagles.
I worry. There's a slight hint of worry because, when it has been in situations where the passing game has struggled, I don't believe it's because of Jalen Hurts. I believe because what they've tried to do was just not that good. But at the same time, the guy's been there for a while, and I can't argue after winning a Super Bowl with them giving him the job. So I'm going to give him a chance. Wait and see, give him a chance, and we'll see what happens. I honestly, here's a weird thing, I think, but I've been thinking about this. I think Jalen Hurts is the offensive coordinator now. I mean, the guy has seen how many
he checks a lot of plays, man.
How many different coaches and styles and different things has he had to deal with in his career? He's pretty much seen it all. At what point is he just needs somebody to help him with certain things, and he's good to just take over anyways. So if Jalen's good with it, I'm good with it. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, AJ gave it the seal of approval. Lane Johnson gave it the seal of approval. Those are some pretty key cogs on the offensive side of the ball that pretty much gave their green light to that move. And I'm sure, a move like that doesn't happen without Jalen Hurts being privy to it, at least before we are.
I would think so. Yeah.
You got to make sure you do right by your Super Bowl MVP. I repeat, you got to do right.
I don't mean to cut you off. I just like that the defensive coaches are back. None of them got taken. To me, that's the bigger thing. Like, I'm
because the
good with
offense
that.
so talented, right? The offense so talented, you can
Yeah.
kind of overcome. Even if you are going through growing pains with the new OC, right? You're so talented, you're so dominant in the trenches, you can overcome that, right? But having obviously Vic Fangio being back, Christian Parker, Bobby King, Clint Hurt, you know, the other ancillary guys, Jeremiah Washburn, right? Our corners coach specifically, I forget my man's name, man.
I forget his name too. Yeah,
I don't want to butcher it, but he works closely with Christian Parker. But yeah, you're right. The fact that you have a young defense that's going to have another year in this system with these guys, man, it's going to be really, really inspiring to see where they take their game to next. So, yeah, man. When it comes to the Kevin Patullo thing, I'm pretty much in the same breath as you for the most part. Wait and see. I'm not going to act like I know everything about this guy. There's a lot of people out here who are jumping out the window pretending like they know the full science on this guy. They got the full Carfax on this guy. My thing is, you don't. You really don't. All you know is that he was here when Nick got hired, and he's been here ever since. He's been the pass game coordinator ever since. That's all you know. Other than that, let's not sit here and pretend like we could just dismantle this guy and say, "Oh no, that was a bad hire." You don't know if it was either or. So let's just wait and see. The Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts, the Super Bowl champions. He's a Super Bowl MVP. Nick Sirianni is a Super Bowl winning head coach. Hey, listen, I think he's earned some latitude a little bit.
I do too. I told you, man. I'll be the first to admit this. I lost confidence. I lost confidence in Nick Sirianni last year. When that collapse happened,
that's
and
natural.
The way it went down, I lost confidence in him. But that whole stretch, what we were talking earlier about, how's he going to handle the stuff that was going on with AJ and Brandon Graham and their relationship and all that? How is he going to handle that? And he proved that and then some. So I think Nick deserves a lot of credit for that too, and I think he does deserve I think he does deserve enough leash to see what these coaches are and what they do.